First of all, it's rigged. And I'm afraid the election's going to be rigged, I have to be honest.
Donald Trump has claimed the election is rigged against him. He's told his supporters that Democrats and the news media are conspiring to sway the election for Hillary Clinton. He's said that dead people, illegal immigrants, and other unregistered voters are casting ballots. And he's asked his supporters to show up and watch polling places in cities like Chicago and Philadelphia.
Watch Philadelphia, watch St. Louis, watch Chicago.
But in truth, claims about a rigged election or voter fraud did not begin with Donald Trump. The United States has a long history of voter suppression. It's long and it's messy. Historically, legal and illegal methods of voter suppression have been implemented in the U.S. to discourage certain groups from casting ballots during elections. People of color and college students of all races and ethnicities have faced efforts to suppress their votes. Voter suppression tactics have been used in the United States since the passage of the 15th Amendment that gave African American men the right to vote. In fact, after Reconstruction, a social and political backlash led to Jim Crow laws. Among the things that Jim Crow laws controlled was voting. During the Civil Rights Movement, black voters were beaten and had water cannons turned on them. However, less violent but debilitating practices were put in place that made it difficult for African Americans to cast ballots. Throughout the South, African Americans faced literacy tests, poll taxes, and grandfather clauses that prevented them from voting. But in 1965, the passage of the Voting Rights Act made it possible for more African Americans around the country to participate in elections. In the years since, states around the country have passed a number of laws which critics say also restrict the ability of the very same people to vote. That includes voter ID laws, certain types of redistricting, and even closing polling places. In 2013, North Carolina passed one of the most restrictive voter ID laws in the country. The law required voters to present specific types of ID at the polls and ended same-day voter registration. Governor Pat McCrory supported the bill and signed it into law.
The integrity of our election process is vital to our democracy, which is why I've signed today several common-sense reforms into law, including voter ID.
It is 57 pages of regressive, unconstitutional acts to rig and manipulate elections through voter suppression.
This year, a federal court struck down the law as written and said that it would have had too large an effect on the ability of Black and Latino voters to participate. Still, several states continue to maintain strict voter ID requirements. Critics of these laws say they disproportionately affect Black, Latino, and elderly voters because these groups are less likely to have driver's licenses, state-issued IDs, or the documents required to obtain them.